hello, hello, hello. I tell you what, welcome to the Every Marsh Network. We are all about the 5 E's: etiquette, expose, entertain, evangelize, empower, and elevate. I am your friend, your sister, and your girl,
Your girl.
Emily Marsh.
Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everyone. This is your girl, Evelyn, and we are glad to be here. We're going to play a music.
Lord, I give you all the praise. I got someone special who will never let me down. Come on and grab a Jehovah, you my superstar. Grab I'm on in number one. Everything I want, you give it to me. There's someone on your wall. There's someone. I'm on in Jehovah, I come to give you all my praise. Jehovah, I come to give you all my praise. Come on, let her praise his name. Yeah, you little praise in the morning, in the evening, in the noontime. Oh, Holy Ghost fire, fire, fire. Oh, Holy Ghost fire on me. Fire, 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 fire. Yeah, I need you more, I need you more, I need you more, I need you more, I need you more. Yeah, never yen, yeah, never yen, yeah, again, yeah, never yen, yeah. Father, I thank you, Jesus, I praise you. Father, I thank you, Jesus, I praise you.
Yes, yes, yes. Here's my praise. Lord, I give you my praise. You know, the song was playing and I was having fun, and I saw my co-host in the green room enjoying herself. I'm like, oh no, I have to bring her on.
I didn't even know.
I'm gonna let her come on and enjoy along with me because I alone was not going to do this thing. So, co-host, you are welcome. I want to take this time to welcome all of you to
Thank
the
you.
Every March Network. We are happy to have you. I want to say happy Sunday to all of you. If you are just joining us, kindly comment, like, and share. Leave your comment or say something so we can know you are here, because we want to be able to welcome you. And we love to have you. The fact that you took your time to come on and be here with us, we appreciate it. So please share, comment. We love you. Those of you that celebrated your birthday last week and you are celebrating this week, we want to say happy birthday. Those of you who are bereaved on behalf of Every March Network, we want to say have our condolences to you and your family. We are here again, excited to be here. But I will welcome my co-host and then we go from there.
Hello, 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 everyone. Again, welcome to the Evelyn Marsh Network. This is where we bring you juicy topic every Sunday. So tune in and don't be afraid. Come, let's have a discussion on some interesting topic here, something that could educate every one of us. So come on, bring your mama, bring your papa, bring your children. Let us have a discussion together and learn something from it. Again, you can follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram,
I know
every
X,
platform.
Twitter, X, Y, all the platform you can follow
Other
us.
social media platform, you can follow us there, and anytime once you hit that notification button, anytime we are live, it will let you know so you can come and tune in with the conversation with us. Again, let us enjoy and have fun. This is the Evelyn Marsh Network. Thank you. Be blessed.
She said she took something from me that I forgot to say. Bring your mama, bring your papa, your pot, your pen, your spoon, your fork, your dogs, bring everybody. And we are all here to learn and grow together. So come on, let's do this together. We're not going to waste any time. We have our guests in the green room and backstage. They are ready to come. We have some dignitaries here. We always have dignitaries for some reason, but today is another day, and so we are ready to go. So I'm going to bring them on one at a time. We're going to bring Dr. Emma Boyce with her team, and they're going to introduce themselves. So we'll bring her first. This beautiful lady.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. We have a pastor here tonight. We're going to bring the pastor on. Okay.
Hi everyone.
We're going to bring our brother Mark on and our brother Rob. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we want to welcome all of you. Again, welcome to the Evelyn Marsh Network. If you just joining, comment, please, so we can know. I see my big sister is here. Thanks for being here, Mommy. I love you dearly. You are the first person to comment, and we appreciate you always being on. So thanks for being here. Um, let's start with Emma. Emma, Dr. Emma, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma Boyce. I'm an epidemiologist by training, and I'm also the CEO, which is Chief Executive Officer for the Center for Global Health Equity Research and Evaluation, where we are, trying to create impact by community programming so that communities can be able to have voice at the table to address their own health issues.
Okay, Pastor Ted.
Hi there, and thank you for having me tonight. My name is Gentry Tiller. I'm a pre-licensed psychotherapist based here in Minnesota. I work with the Center for Global Health Equity Research and Evaluation as a contractor, focusing on mental health care and community wellness. It's a pleasure being here and look forward to a fruitful, healthy discussion tonight.
Thank you. Brother Mark,
Hi, my name is Mark Square, and I am the program manager. Thank you for the opportunity for us being here today.
are you the owner of Times Square?
I wish.
Brother Rob,
Hi, everybody. Rob Boyce Jr. I'm a writer, film director. I serve as the director of communications here at the Center for Global Health Equity Research and Evaluation. I'm here to tell these stories, these underserved stories for people in our community who are shifting, their dynamic and dealing with things. And it's such a pleasure to be here on this esteemed committee.
okay. It's a pleasure having all of you on here tonight. Let's go right into that. Kind of tell us about what you do. Let's start with Emma.
So I think for this work, what we have been intentional about is that we want to advance health equity, but I think it's important that to be able to do that, to bring about changes in people's life, they have to be at the center of that discussion. So they are the ones supposed to find solutions, right? So we are not we have these disparities, but we also have resources. We have solutions for them. We just lack the resources. So what we try to do is that we try to um, hear from community members on challenges that they faced and then co-design solutions for them, right? So that's why, we are so unique in what we do. Our programming is in isolation. It's not best, it is best practices, but it's solely influenced by community members. And so it's important that, we bring about changes in people's life and they are the ones that are empowered to do it for themselves. So this programming primarily, what we do, we have multiple programs, but this programming, it's an acronym. It stands for Substance Use Prevention, Education, Recovery. So primarily, what we're trying to do is to promote um, prevention of substance use, primarily around youth 12 to 25, and then also to build resilience so that even if they have substance use and mental health challenges, they can be able to have resources to address it.
Awesome. So we are talking about um, substance use, um, prevention, education, and recovery. That's what we are talking about. That's the topic for tonight. And so, again, if you are just joining, um, Kujiku, I think let's work on few
Yeah.
people who's on here, and then we can continue.
Right now we'll have a lot of people. I mean, okay, the number just dropped, but we have Sis Catherine that is watching all the way from Raw Island. Welcome, our number one. Also, welcome, Sis Catherine, and then we have Sis. Okay, Gaman Biddle that is also watching, and I believe that is someone from Sis Emma's side. I am going to project some of the comments here. Good evening, Dr. Emma.
Today you are all over the place. That's
Watch it.
good. And then also, she is saying this is an excellent young woman who is so much experience in MEQ. I've worked with her and know her strength. That's a good thing. Sis Annie is also watching. And she said, "Thank you, my daughter, for this topic. For this topic, you are doing great educating the public on this topic. Thank you, thank you."
Thanks, ma'am.
And Robert Boyce is watching, and Sis Gamad is in Liberia. I'm guessing, yes. Also, Alberta is watching. Welcome again. If you are on here and you are watching, please make a comment so we recognize you because we like to interact with our audience. If anything catches your eyes while the conversation is going on, please feel free to tune in because your comments may also help us with our education topic here. So please feel free to drop in your input or however you feel. Thank you.
You can also drop your question and we will definitely address it as well as we go on. Okay, and then here I'm gonna start with Emma and then we will go down the line. What is your organization all about? What inspired you to work in this field? And what impact are you making in the community or you intend to make in the community?
You are muted, Miss Emma.
Sorry, I'm talking unmuted. Having worked in public health over almost 2 decades now, I think what it's apparent is that often we have these disparities, right? And we have adverse health outcomes, but the issue has always been that policies and programming, they were not made by us, they were made for us, right? And so often we start at a place where we are disproportionately impacted by diseases and issues, but instead of us being at the forefront of the solution, we're not. People are making decisions for us. And so I think we want to change that narrative here at our organization and make sure that programming are for people and they are the ones who are leading the charge. And I think what we want to do is that we understand that to be able to really truly advance health equity, people themselves, they have all of the resources to be able to make better decisions around health. So, for example, nobody wants to go to McDonald's and buy burgers. They know it's not healthy for them. But because of social determinants of health, perhaps maybe they don't have the salary to buy healthy food. They choose the less healthier options, not because they want to, but because they have limited, forces around money, right? So we want to make sure that people are making decisions about their health that they themselves can be able to, be empowered to change their lives. And so our organization, what we have been doing is we've been working so many years with Hennepin County, Minnesota Department of Health to be able to bring community-based solutions and say, this is what people want, right? These are what people are recommending. If you were to support them and give them resources, you will see, preferential outcomes, meaning that the disparities that we're trying to address will be solved. So, for example, with substance use, African-born people are disproportionately affected by these issues around substance use and mental health. There's so many issues around that. For example, immigration challenges. People typically, when they're depressed, they tend to substance use, right? And so what we have been doing is one, trying to create solutions, meaning that youths who are disproportionately affected, they are in rooms where they can talk about solutions, what it looks like, what challenges looks like for them, recovery looks like for them. So we're the bridge to be able to bring resources to our communities and have them take ownership and change their health outcomes. If I will stop there and I will have others talk as to what we do because I don't want to take up all the time. But I think if you were to walk away with one thing here tonight is that we are trying to change that narrative. We're trying to make sure that policies and programming are not made for us. They are made by us.
Awesome. Remember,
Thank you.
policy and programming is not made for us, and it is made by us. Um, the man don't have pastor to his name, so I'm kind of, well, I still have to give you your honor. So, Pastor
Man
Twitter,
of God.
for the sake of those out there who may be wondering, okay, you guys talking about substance abuse, right? Um, can you just talk about what, when you say substance abuse, what is it about?
So again, thanks for having me. The issue of substance abuse boils around the wrong use, the misuse of substance. Now, many times people going through different emotional situations find different use substance as a coping mechanism, and they in that light they abuse it, they overuse it, and instead of benefiting them, it hurts them, and they come down with a lot of things. It goes with depression. It goes with the anxiety and all these other diagnoses come along. As people deal with different emotional traumas and issues in their lives, they use substance as that escape route. As a means to cope. And truth be told, once they get out of that high, the realities, are still there. And guess what? They go back to, and that's how many times people get hooked up on substance, in the wrong way. Um, one word Dr. Boyce continuing to emphasize here is this disparity. Yes, we live in a country where they talk about equity, but we know that there are, glaring disparities and economics, race, and all that. And so, yeah, at the center, the goal is to leverage the um, tools out there, the different programming out there, the different resources out there to see how we can help, cater to people, immigrants, marginalized people. I mean, it's better said that way. The marginalized, in our community, providing them health care, especially. Now, I want to focus on my emphasis, especially mental health. This is truth be told, many times this seemed mental health services seem to be for quote unquote the privileged, and we should not be in our community. The privileged, the less privileged, everyone has had, people have emotional issues that they're dealing with. So at the center, the goal is to see how we can leverage resources out there for the benefit of all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have anything to add?
I would say
What do you do as a
my role is to pretty much make sure that these programs come to life. Make sure that all the workshops and everything that Dr. Emma and Dr. Bond and everybody that's on our team, that whatever thing I'm supposed to be able to help everybody make sure they come to life. So with the storytelling that Rob was talking about, I'm behind the scenes, making sure that whatever video or marketing that needs to be done. I'm here to provide the tools and stuff like that that they need, so that way we can bring this thing to full fruition. So pretty much, I'm behind the scenes. I'm front line. So wherever I need to be, that's where I'm at. So as the program manager, I'm here to help the team and make sure everything that we are looking forward to do in the community comes to life.
Thank you. Um, Rob, what is your position? What do you do?
As director, I would like to start by saying, when you don't tell your story, society does it for you, right? Whenever we talk about mental health, substance abuse, especially to our community, it's always a negative construct that comes along with it, right? And so I'm here to harness that storyline, right? When we talk about abuse and all the narratives that come before it, they don't talk about the experiences that brought the kids, the youth, in that gap, and how uh, having mentors and having the right leaders in their life can be able to shift that to a positive outcome, right? I'm here to add value to that, to be able to change that narrative, just because it's okay to not be okay as a black man, as a black and brown individual. Let's talk about it. And I'll also like by saying my next segment with this quote: "People buy why you do things, not what you do." As a director of communication, I want to tell our authentic stories so we can be able to cultivate community around that. So when we build community, we're able to lead with Emma's leadership. We're able to lead and implement a lasting legacy for what we're doing here.
Okay. All right.
You wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to. I know I'm hearing the topic substance. So I understand, you guys are mainly focusing on young adults and all of that, and we have young people that also follow the channel and stuff. So when we talk about substance, for most of us who the adults, we may know what a substance is, but can you guys elaborate what are the substance abuse that some people might be going through? What exactly is a substance, and what is the use of it?
Okay.
Yeah, substance could be anywhere, anything from like alcohol, drugs, um, you going through, like I said, those are like the real main things. Because when it comes to substance abuse, those are the two top things, and those are the things that lead you into the other paths as far as depression and stuff like that. So, and that's where we come in with the mental health stuff, with our clinicians that we have on board and stuff like that. We look to help you build those tools and resources to work through those things.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
will say, I would just like to add this, right? And I think we use our word substance, right? Substance, I mean, I used to want to be a pharmacist. Then I realized that giving people drugs only exacerbates the problem. It doesn't address why we have the problem. So I changed course. But substance is anything that has chemical properties that could potentially lead to effects like physiological effects, psychological effects. So, for example, alcohol, right? People think when you take alcohol, it's just you take alcohol, but alcohol is a depression, right? So, it's not good to couple alcohol with other depressive mechanism, right? People, it's unfortunate people do alcohol when they're at a party, but alcohol is a depression. It gets other receptors in your brain, and so substances, alcohol, marijuana, even opiates, prescription drugs, there are substances because if they are misused, it can be addictive, right? So anything that potentially, if you take ingest in your body, that potentially, if not done with prescription, can be, can have an adverse outcome. So, for example, one of my favorite quotes, and this is, I think, applicable to anything in life, it's from a philosopher, I believe, I forgot his name, but he said, there is nothing without poison. Everything in life is poisonous. What determines whether something is a poison or a drug is the dose, right? So, for example, with alcohol, people think, oh, I have tolerance for alcohol. They do one bottle and then they do another bottle. What they don't understand that as you ingest alcohol, your body builds tolerance, right? So next time your body's gonna say, oh, do two. And then after you do two, your body's gonna say do three, right? And this is how it's a slippery slope because people start off thinking that, oh, I can just take the bare minimum. But over time, because you're building tolerance, you start to misuse it, right? And then it becomes a problem where if you don't ingest alcohol, you get a headache or you can't function right. And this is why we say any drugs, it can be prescribed or illegal if not done appropriately, can be it can have adverse outcomes. So even like for example, morphine. If you get morphine for pain, right? If you do too much, you become addicted to it, and then your body, you need to do more um, be able to address the pain, right? So those are substances are just chemical that, it may be alcohol, but its in its clinical stages, it's a chemical that when it's in your body, it can have adverse outcomes if it is not taken in the dose that's needed. It can be able to be detrimental to your health outcomes.
Just to follow up with that, there's also um, the increased tolerance, what she was talking about, the need for most substance to achieve the same effects. You know, that's when it is abused. So when you start, it's a slippery slope. You know, when you start to take in this illicit or drugs or it can even be prescription drugs, that you use outside of its prescribed use, and that have addictive, tendencies, and you want to get a particular high, you want to get a particular effect, and so over and over, the body get adjusted, and you go for more, you get adjusted, and sooner or later, you find yourself hooked. That's uh, Yes, somebody said alcohol is a CSN antidepressant too. You know, so
So we want to welcome Josh from Liberia. He's watching. Josh, thanks for being here. And we see um,
Sis Gamad, King Dixon is also online. I am enjoying the comment section. This just shows me that this topic is indeed an important topic for our community.
mhm.
So the fact that they are all interacting here, this tells me a whole lot right now. But before we get
Oh,
into the comments,
Let me
please,
just say
let, okay, go ahead.
Let me just say one thing. Since we're talking about youths here, we just want to be able to highlight why this is a problem, right? So, for example, in Minnesota here, ages 12 to 25, which is when you're 12, you're in middle school. So you are in about seventh grade, which is when kids are exposed to drug use, right? So the number one exposure to drug use for those kids in middle school, it's weed. So cannabis, marijuana, right? There's multiple names that they go through it. I mean, the kids have different ways to say it, right? But it's alcohol, cannabis. It is also tobacco, e-cigarette, vaping, hookah, whatever they do. All of those things are chemicals that they have addictive properties, but sometimes too recreational drugs. For example, kids sometimes because I think Adderall is given for they have ADHD, right? They are super active, right? So they're prescribed ADHD. They are prescribed Adderall, which is a prescription to address that super activeness. But like what you know, Mr. Taylor said, when misused, it is addictive because Adderall is an amphetamine, right? It's a stimulant, right? And so it's really important. So like I said, it's alcohol, marijuana, vaping, e-cigarettes, prescription drugs like Adderall, methamphetamine, and other substances like ecstasy, MDMA, ecstasy. These are the drugs that our kids, when they're in middle school, they're exposed to, right? Either voluntarily, where they follow their friends and do this, or involuntarily, where their friends just say, hey, you should try this, right? So we want to make sure that before they get to middle school, they have resources to say, no, I can't take that because these are the outcomes that potentially these are the bad things that potentially could get to us. And so that's why this is so primarily focused on youth, because that's where the entry point is when you're so young. Imagine as young as 12 in seventh grade. So we want to make sure our kids are not vulnerable.
yeah.
So anything, first let me welcome Cyrus here, Cyrus McGee. He said great show, important education. Um, if you are just joining us, we want to welcome you to the Every March Network. Leave your comments. We want to know that You are here and we want to welcome you. We want to identify you as well. I know we have a question here quickly from King Dixon, our constant listener. We want to welcome you, King. Jonetta going to read that here. Well, as you were talking about substance abuse, naming the different substances that people can use, I was like, now you are going there because you know what you're saying, substance, and for the layman who will not understand the word substance, so it was good that we started naming some things what it could be. Now, I have a question. So I know someone said they got some kind of a thing where they can give you and you just put it on your lip.
Oh Lord.
I don't know what that is, but someone said that to me. I was like, no. But so substance can be, let's say for example, if you go to the doctor, Emma said a lot of things, and even Pastor Taylor as well. If you go to the doctor and the doctor prescribe medication for whatever you are going to do, and if you take and they say maybe take that once a day or twice a day, if you go over the prescription, is that a substance abuse as well, or what?
So it's not going over the prescription once.
Okay,
So
continue.
let's see why am I first. Let's go back to the reason why I'm going over my prescription. So if I find that, say for example, this drug knocks me out, you know, it puts me on a high, and I I'm unaware of my surrounding. You know, I need to sleep and just stay in bed. Um, and I'm dealing with an issue. Okay, I'm worried. Anxiety is something I'm dealing with, and instead of following my prescription, then you know I start to use this as a way to cope with whatever thing I'm dealing with. So is that trying to solve an emotional problem, an emotional issue outside of the prescribed use of the drugs. That's when you have the abuse of the drugs.
Awesome. Jonathan, comment go in our comment section here. I love the comment section. Keep it coming. They are answering some questions too for us and stuff like that. Let's start with King, please.
Okay. Our consistent listener, and the man always giving his input. So he said, how do mental health professionals balance the need of medication in treating mental health condition with the potential risks of dependency or substance abuse, particularly in cases where individuals have a history of addiction?
I can go first. That's a great question. So I'm a pre-licensed psychotherapist. By my profession, I am not credentialed. You know, I don't have the competence to do prescription. Okay, so you need to go to prescribing physicians to do prescription. But coming back to the question, you know, in therapy, in a psychotherapist, when you come to therapy, what we do is we try to find the core of the problem. Yes, you're suffering depression, you're suffering anxiety and everything else. What's causing that anxiety? And we go to the bottom of that, and through different tools and techniques, and talking through it, we then help the person facilitate a process where the person can be empowered to come out of whatever that emotional issue they're going through, you know, at the time. But there are times, you know, like we know, depression, and other diagnoses that will call for ADHD, for example, that will call for more than just therapy. It will call for prescription. uh, those prescriptions then will be given. Now, most times, what at least from my experience, what I see physicians would do, they will try to give uh, what is allowed for the prescribed time, especially so talking about somebody with a history of addiction. Um, if it for 3 days, they try to give exact for 3 days to ensure that the person does not, misuse, the drugs. But um, as a therapist, I don't prescribe drugs. So uh, I just help you talk through it, and if you need prescription, we do the referral.
Okay. So you
We'll
want
say
okay,
Dr.
go.
Kwan is trying to join, so Dr. Kwan can also add to Mr. Taylor's comments because these two are the clinicians on the team. Other
Okay.
than that, we have
Where
no
is
other comments.
where is he?
He says he's trying to click on. Is he waiting?
No,
Um
In
he's not in the back room.
so once he come we'll add him. Let him try it. I wanna
So,
also welcome my dad, David Young. Jonetta, just before you come in.
okay,
Daddy,
there.
I'm Daddy, Pastor David Young, you are welcome. Emma dropped on a question here again for us, but Jonetta, please go ahead.
Dr. Kwan is here.
Okay.
okay, I see him, but he's not. Okay, he went back out. I no. Okay, I'm
He's having
trying.
technical
Okay,
difficulties.
continue with the question, Jonetta, and
All
why
right.
he's trying to get on.
So, Pastor David Young says substance abuse great is a great topic. Um, so misuse, Sis Gamasa in Alberta, any harmful or excessive use, which is true. Sis Gamasa, Evelyn, that sounds more like a misuse and not abuse.
Okay, thank you.
And Pastor Young said, what advice can you give us to help our friend to stop taking drugs? What activities can they be involved in or to stop it? Okay.
So I will say, research shows that
Yeah, you
people
go.
who have social connectivity are most more likely not to use drugs. So, for example, if the kids have parents who they're talking to, it can be able to provide them with guidance. They're less likely to, be. It's a protective factor. The other protective factor is that if you're engaged in extracurricular activities when you're in school, or you have such high aspirations for your life, right? I want to go to college, I want to be a medical doctor. Therefore, doing drugs may derail that path. So, risk and protective factors are really important. So, I think uh, uh, Pastor Young, I think what you need to start looking at what risk and protective factors. So, for example, if you're talking to someone who are, for example, like a couple who's going through a divorce, that's potentially a risk factor because those challenges, people when there's traumatic, people are going through traumatic issues, loss of jobs, stressors, right? They're more likely to turn to substance use, right? And so in those instances, right, you want to connect them with a licensed counselor to navigate those things. If they're going through job issues, you want to connect them with resources to get jobs. So there are a lot of stressors in life that potentially can cause adverse effects. So what we are trying to do is to provide resources to people to. So, for example, with all of our programming, we screen people for these risk and protective factors. In the event that you're positive, we connect them to a clinical person to be able to navigate care. In the event they're looking for social determinants of health, so let's say they need a job, we connect them to resources to be able to get a job. So I guess it's a lot of things there depending on that unique situation, then we can provide guidance, right? But there's no one size that fit all, right? I can't just sit here and give you blanket these are the things that I can do. I think it solely depends on that risk and protective factors, right? So if it's a kid, it's quite different than if it is an adult, right? If it is a kid, the resources would be quite different than if they are over 18? So I think, that's a great question, but I will say first you understand what the problem is before you can. It's almost like going to the hospital, right? They need to diagnose you first before they treat you. So I think to be able to really give you a comprehensive resource, we will need to know what the issues are, and that's why we always do needs assessment to be able to be able to screen people for challenges that they're dealing with, and then based on what we find, we then either provide the resources in house or we refer out, if that's helpful.
So before Dr. Kwan comes in here, just Maslow talked about the hierarchy of needs, and and that's something that we're very conscious of. If a person is, say, they are homeless, and because of the homelessness, the needs at home for providing for the kids and job and everything else. Uh, and they show all these signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety and all that. He says, it doesn't matter how much intervention you do. Once those basic needs are not met, it's more likely that the person will still, exhibit these signs and symptoms of anxiety, depression, all that. So that's the hierarchy of needs. So sometimes it depends what people are going through, what these cases are going through, what they're faced with. I know when you're talking about case, it could be just social factors, peer pressure, the environment where they find themselves, the school they go to, or where they find themselves trying to fit in. There are different factors and variables that lead, especially the young people that we're focusing on, to doing drugs. But like Dr. Boyce mentioned, if you have rich and protective factors, those can be interventions that can be brought forth to help them realize that, hey, if I want to continue my life, I want to become this person that I aspire to be in the future, then these things I must evolve. So
Okay, so thanks, Pastor Taylor. We want to welcome Dr. Kwan. So we're going to give him a question, and then he can first, Dr. Kwan, we want you to please introduce yourself, and then I will ask you the question, and you can add whatever you want to add to it, because we have questions. We want to make sure we answer all of the questions that coming in as much as possible.
I'm Dr. Sam Kwan. I'm a mental health provider here in the Twin Cities. I have been providing mental health services since I got to this country. Kind of grew into the profession from direct care all the way to now being a prescriber. Um, I've worked as a prescriber since 2020, and 2 years ago, I opened my own clinic, mental health clinic in Minneapolis. And I am proud to be part of this program to bring mental health services to our communities in, let's say, our communities in the Twin Cities metro area.
Okay, so what are the biggest risk factors for substance use among young people in our community? And then you can go ahead and add whatever.
The risk factors as a community is personal. Let's say on a personal level, the risk factors might be different. Different ones might precede other ones. Um, and each person might have one that's greater than other. So instead of saying the greatest factors, I would say what are the most important factors now that affect our communities.
Okay.
As a mental health provider, one of the things I would say is untreated conditions is one big reason. When people start using drugs, sometimes they want to self-medicate, right? There's something happening to them that they don't know how to treat, or they don't want to go to established treatment places, and then they use drug as a way of escape to self-medicate.
Another thing that is a problem out there is sometimes lack of structure, right? So if you live in a home or a community where people are not checking on each other, where people are not holding each other accountable, where the kids are practically not having somebody overseeing them to make sure they are on a straight and narrow or trying to live up to our expectation, sometimes yes, that can become a factor. Another factor out there is peer pressure, right? If your friends are using, especially in the adolescent age group, their peers' activities and perception is more important sometimes than what their parents think, right? So then when they have friends that are using, sooner or later, they themselves start to use as well, and that can be a very strong factor. So there are several other factors too, like including the home structure itself, right? If the parents or one of the parents in the home is using, right, it makes it easy for the kids growing up in our home to start using as well. It might start with something as common as cigarettes, but it grows from there, from something that's common and acceptable to something that is illicit and unacceptable in our society currently.
And just to add to our learn, Dr. Kwan here, um, systemic challenges that like poverty, um, or racial inequities, like that Dr. Boyce had pointed out, are all risk factors that lead to these addiction. So you find kids growing up in relatively very poor um, homes, communities, uh, and where uh, the basic services are absent. Sometimes, they're more likely to get in these unhealthy practices as a way of coping with whatever issues they're going through where they find themselves. Racial inequities, I mean, it's a reality, with the marginalized. It's these are realities that also determine the young people going into the misuse of substance.
True, very true.
Okay, so we are going to Jonathan. We're gonna answer some questions here, please. A lot of them coming in, and we want to
Yeah.
make sure we are able to answer. So
All
yeah,
right.
let's
Brother
go.
George said, "Is marijuana a herb used for healing or medication, or is it part of a harmful drug?" And I think somebody answered that under here, but let me hear from the experts.
So like I said, that point you can go ahead. So,
Well, marijuana is a substance, right? And I could tell you off the bat that because it was considered illegal and controlled in the past, there has not been a lot of studies done on the harmful effect of marijuana in the society. There are some places that have approved recreational use, but I can tell you that any drug, any chemical you put in your system has a potential to harm you. Um, for us human beings, our brain continues to grow, and uh, it is not fully grown until age 26, right? So marijuana is in a category of drugs called psychoactive substances, right? So those are things that affect your brain. They affect how you think. So when you start to use any psychoactive drug without it being under the supervision of a professional, it has the potential to harm you.
Okay,
Can I can I say something too?
go ahead.
Yeah,
Um, and I think like if we would just put everything in context, as I said, I'm thinking about my pharmacist training. So yes, exactly what Dr. Kwan said. I agree with it, but I think what we need to just understand that what determines whether something is beneficial or harmful to us is the dose, right? And it is it is medicinal use, marijuana, right? So the like what Dr. Kwan was saying that now is recreational. It is medicinal use at the dose that has been prescribed. It is a phenomenal painkiller, right? It is medicinal use, right? So marijuana has multiple properties, like someone said it has elucidative properties, it has pain properties where it can be able to, so for example, people who are in, I think studies have been shown that people who were in cancer, in chemotherapy dealing with cancer, marijuana help like with pain and all of that. So when it's prescribed, usually it's prescribed for pain. However, again, what determines whether something is beneficial to you or harmful is the dose, right? However, when people are doing marijuana to be high, they are not thinking about the dose effect relationship. They are using it to get high. So in that instance, in that impact, in that event, it is outside its medicinal use, right? So then, like you said, that now a lot of the thing that's happening now is the elucidative properties, the properties that's gonna get you high. It's gonna take you away from. It's gonna shut. So it is lower dose. Marijuana helps with pain. When you do that and just put insane amount in your body, it no longer, it's selective for those receptors. Now it starts to have other adverse impact in that, you get high, you hallucinate and do other things, right? So again, the reason why it is helpful when prescribed, because there has been numerous studies showing that in this, when it's at this dose, it is helpful for you. But outside of that, when people are just taking it because they want to feel fine, that's where the problem is. Because when you're just taking things, again, we talk about tolerance. You start low and then your body builds up tolerance. So now you need more of the drug to get the same high. And eventually you go outside of its medicinal use and now it becomes harmful. So, yes, marijuana is a herb. Yes, people can take it for medicinal use, right? But if you are not taking it for prescription, often people like the high properties, right? People are not, yeah, people are in pain, but people like the negative properties of marijuana. So often it is abused, right? Even with people who are giving it for pain, we got to watch them because then, eventually, if, you know, misappropriated, it can be harmful. And I think that's important here.
Awesome. Trinidad, not this. Let's go to the one before. Um, I think this one. This one.
Okay. No, it's just an explanation to add to that as well.
Okay.
So as they were explaining, I was just popping that up
Okay.
instead of going through it as well.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
Sis Alberta said, especially if the history of chemical dependency, a prescribing provider will be very careful in prescribing medication that are easily addictive,
Yeah.
which is true. So, as Sis Emma and Dr. Kwan was explaining, I just echoed that so other people can get an educational feedback off of there.
Okay.
And Sis Emma came back again, as we were asking the question for marijuana, if it's a herb or if it's a treatment as well. It is a narcotic, as Sis Emma already said. And based on how you use it, it can be harmful. It can be okay if you are using it right. So yeah, and yes, and somebody came, Sis Gamma again. Peer pressure is one of the biggest challenges that we have here. That is true. I encountered that in high school. So yeah, but we'll leave it there. And Sis Annie came and said, oh, where did it go? I cannot understand why parents let our school system let your young children smoke these drugs while in school. This this drug are the brain And if they don't let alcohol be done in public, then these smoking drugs should not be allowed. Our parents need to address the behavior to the school board and tell them they need to you they need to be sued.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And also,
Well, that is a whole different topic. But basically, I don't think the schools are allowing kids to smoke,
yeah,
but teachers can be everywhere,
true.
right? If you have 30 students in your class and two of them get up and go to the bathroom, the teacher does not get up and follow them to the bathroom. Um, so sometimes, even though the school, we on one hand put a lot of burden on the school, but on the other hand, we also are cutting the funds that go to support those programs, right? So some of the best things we can do is the school and the family working together, right, to make sure these kids don't get either entrapped or let's say pressured by other kids or other adults to start the behavior. Once they start the behavior, it's kind of hard for an adult or any adult to track them and try to stop them unless it's like a team effort, which will include the family, the school, and the type of program that we are trying to initiate in the community now, where there will be like peer coaches and mentors that will be checking on the kids and making sure whatever pressure or whatever factor that may be impacting them to push them towards the use of the drugs, we can mitigate those factors by us being there as a positive influence in their lives.
And Pastor, let me just jump in there and Dr. Paigu, you said that because as an educator, I was ready to jump in there as well to Pastor any comments. The teacher and the parent is normally I tell my parents is teamwork because at school we have a structure there, right? We have a certain routine, but then at home they have a certain routine there as well. And so sometimes it's like it's not working. And most of the time, I encourage parents, look, we are here to work together as a team for the interest of the child to make sure the child succeeds. So it's not about the teachers because most of the time parents put more on the teacher, want the teachers to be teacher and also parent, and we cannot be parent and teachers at the same time. That's why it's a teamwork and we work together as a team. So it's good to also and even at home, even if they're not doing it at school, because someone said peer pressure, so they might sneak in the bathroom or sneak even after school and go and do the stuff. So it doesn't mean most of the time it's from the school, but we have to work together as a team. The next question,
Yeah, before you go on, let me jump in and just follow up with what you just said and piggyback on the discussion. I also serve a school as a school-based therapist, and I had one of the teachers call me and was just talking about this kid that went off on her and did the worst, and trying to understand why he did what he did and what's going on. I had said to her, I said, maybe we need to call in the parent. And she said, I'm not sure of what benefit that would be. What we've learned and our experience is that the parent allow the child to do anything the child wants. Okay? So I'm not sure of what benefit, the parent would be in this instance. So we're talking about that parent-teacher collaboration in addressing even with the peer pressure issue or whatever factors, risk factors may be causing this. In the school setting, there must be that collaboration between the parent and teacher.
yeah.
I want to say two things quickly before we move on. I will say, having worked in state with Minnesota Department of Health and trying to implement school-based programming for substance use prevention and mental health, it is a political thing, right? And most schools are underfunded, especially the schools that our kids are going to, black and brown kids are going to. They're underfunded. Teachers are dealing with so much, right, that they don't have the capacity to even navigate these issues. They themselves, they lack the skill set and training on even understanding how. Some schools have funding, they'll put in a mental health counselor and a therapist and all of that, but they themselves lack the skills to even say, okay, this kid has some risk and protective factors. This kid has a risk factor. We need to watch these kids, right? Teachers are underfunded and overwhelmed. So I can guarantee you, even though they have good intentions, it's just too many things on their plate. And I think that's why we're intentional that before our kids goes into those doors, right? They have the resources. They understand what are risk and protective factors, what to look for, what not to look for, so that they are empowered, so that when they come in these challenges, they can be able to say, no, no, I'm not doing that because this is what's going to happen. And even if in the event they come across substance use, it is okay. Now I have a mental health person I need to go talk to, or now I have a psychotherapist I need to go to. We cannot rely on school systems, right? We need to rely on ourselves. I think Robert said something. If you don't teach your kids the right thing, others will teach them the wrong things, right? So it's more of what can we do as parents or community members that provides our kids the protection when they go into these spaces where we're not there, that they can be able to fend for themselves, right? So I would just say, we've advocated for school-based curriculum around substance use and mental health. To be able to impact that is a political thing. So before we, like we said, we want to make sure that we are making solutions that for us and by us. We cannot rely on schools, right? And that's why we need to find ways to empower our kids. The other thing I want to comment before I give it back to you is what Mrs. Tiller said. She said, as a provider, given she's a provider, that they take into account prehistory before they even provide drugs, especially if someone had a dependency on alcohol and substance use. That is true. I will also say that we also need to not forget the elephant in the room, that we are black and brown folks. I will say that Serena Williams, who is the most famous woman in the world, black woman, a renowned tennis player, she was in pain and asked for a pain medication, and they denied her because they said we black people, we can withstand pain, right? So it is true that providers will look at history to be able to make decisions on whether to provide medications or not. But also, we live in a country where people are racist, right? And so even if there's not a history, they deny things that you need only because they have this preconceived notion that we as black and brown people, we deal with pain differently versus a white person, right? I have seen studies where a provider will write 300 pills of oxycodone to a white person with minimum pain, and a black person, they will do maybe 10 because they feel like we can deal with pain better, right? And so we live in a country that's deeply racist, and that's why we too, we need to empower ourselves on how we talk to our therapists, on how we talk to other people before we even go in spaces with providers, because they most likely they are not best positioned to make the best decisions for ourselves. That's why we got to make informed decisions and say, no, this is what I need, and here's why I need it, and help them help you. And I would just want to say that because we can't really rely on people that don't look like us to make decisions for us.
Awesome. Jonathan, let's continue with the message coming here.
Oof,
Let's keep it
man.
going.
Mr. Dixon said, how do How do suicidal stigma and cultural norms influence an individual's willingness to seek help for mental health or substance abuse uses? And what strategy can be employed to promote a more supportive environment?
Dr. Kwan.
Stigma is a very strong force. Um, and in our culture, there is definitely a stigma against mental illness so to come to treatment, a person first has to accept that something wrong with them, right? So then, when you have a society that disparages any form of mental or emotional condition, then people have a problem even admitting to themselves that they have a problem, right? And then we also have a society that does not trust the healthcare system, right?
True.
So people think like if they were to come to a clinic and tell a therapist or a mental health provider what's going on in their lives, that person might probably come back and spread it in the society too. So that kind of fear can stop people from even coming to see a provider. But the biggest force that supports stigma is ignorance, right? When
Mm,
people do not know what the issues are, it promotes stigma in society. But depression, anxiety, ADHD, even psychosis, those are things that if you knew exactly what they were, you won't have a problem admitting that you have issues like that, right? But because, like I said, the stigma, people are not even interested in educating themselves on what these things are that they deny, right? So, one of the reasons we are out in the community is to assure people first to educate them about what these conditions are and to assure them that there are very successful treatments for these conditions and to also reassure them that we are professionals, right? If you came to see Dr. Taylor in his office, whatever you say over there is still considered confidential. Your mental health record is considered confidential. I mean, you don't go everywhere and then you give your medical records to anybody, right? So your mental health record is also confidential. But stigma is a real thing. We live in a society that even those ones that are now seeking treatment, we probably have to push some of them to come to treatment. But we are hoping that as more of us get out there in society and we make these kind of programs like what Minister Marsh is doing, that our people will get to know what these things are, right? That when we talk about mental illness, it's not always schizophrenia, right? Mental illness is anything that affects how you think, how you feel, and how you behave, right? So that's a huge field, right? About so anything that mental illness is anything that negatively impacts how you think, how you feel, and how you behave, right? And we are hoping that as we get out there and talk to more of our people, the message will get out there that help is available. If you are out there feeling in a way that you know you are not up to your best, right? If something that you feel is holding you down, like the definition of depression is having a low mood coupled with a loss of interest in things you once enjoyed doing, right? Or a lack of pleasure. Even if you went to do those same things that used to make you happy, you do them now and you still just feel blah, you're not happy, right? And if that feeling goes on for longer than 2 weeks, you need to see one of us, right? Anxiety is just worrying too much about things that you do not control. We all worry, but it's not too much. And sometimes when we worry about things we control, so we resolve it. But if you are worrying too much about things you don't control, that means there's no resolution. And that means that worry, yeah, I mean, it goes on and on and on because you don't control it, right? And that means you can see one of us. We are also some of the way I spoke at the church the other time. We are some of the resources that God provided for this community, right? It's like, come see us. Come, let's talk. If you got an issue we can help with, then we can be part of the solution for you. If we check you out and it's just a normal reaction to stuff, we will tell you. Say, okay, even though you might be feeling bad, you're going through a breakup, you're going through grief. There's some of those things that are normal, but there's some of them that are abnormal, right? But you probably don't know the difference until you talk to a professional. So, and the same way people go to see a doctor to do their physical annually, right? When you go to do your physical, you don't wait until you're sick. Every year, almost all of us go to see if our physical body is healthy, right? And then the doctor checks and say, yeah, you're good to go. It will be nice if we start doing that for how we think and how we feel, right? And just go check in with one mental health provider on an annual basis. Those of you that think you're normal, you just check in annually to do your mental health physical, right? And see, okay, your everything going on okay. I think that is how you get to that abundant life that was promised you, right? So stigma is real, but mental illness is also real. And the way to resolve the issue with stigma is to acquaint yourself on what these conditions are and what the treatments are, and see if you have an issue, how we can help you resolve that issue so that you can live that abundant life that was promised you.
Just to, if
Go
I can just add
ahead.
briefly, so yeah, societal stigma, especially in our community, cultural norms, especially in our community, black and brown. Um, um, Dr. Boyce can call us black and brown or the marginalized. Is a huge influence. This is a great question, but like and Dr. Brown was defined mental health. I just say mental health, anything that impaired your functioning. And once is impeding your functioning as you will function normally, uh, that may be a need to just check in what's going on with me. Okay, and yes, there's this huge influence. So in our community, when I go see a therapist and then I'm weak, then I'm not strong. Is it be a man? Don't why you're doing this? Be a man. But you see, depression has nothing to do with whether a man or woman, whether I'm black or white. Anxiety has nothing to do with what I mean, and you can learn skills and you giving tools and techniques to know how to cope, to know how to. It's not going to erase whatever you're going through, but what therapy would do for you, it will hand you tools and skills and techniques to know how to cope, to know how to deal with in positive ways, so as not to impair your functioning, that you can continue to function, work through the different things you're going through, and still be this healthy person, mentally functional person. But again, there's so much stigma, and then black and brown, Liberian, they tell you, so that you dealing with Christian people too. Whoever told you that mental health just is reduced to crazy, But again, that was a very great question.
So let me just add something quickly. And I think Dr. Kwan said something a couple of weeks ago that really hit me hard. We gotta be pragmatic in our thinking, right? I think sometimes when we talk about things, we talk about it in abstract. We talk about it as if it is not an issue, right? We need to be blunt and say what it is, right? As long as you're living, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have stressors, right? You're gonna have a job loss. You're gonna have a divorce. You're gonna have a loss of a family member. So stressors that potentially can impact your mental health will happen. I think for us to really address this stigma issue, we need to start thinking about what tools can I find to be able to put me well positioned that in the event when those stressors happen, I can come up on top. I think that's the mindset we need to have as a community. That pragmatic. We are looking for solutions instead of blame shifting, right? Because what happens is often the very same people that are stigmatizing people when they die, they go to your funeral and you cry, they cry, right? Are these people even like we gotta understand that we are going to have problems in life. As long as you're living, you're going to have problems in life. If you haven't had problems, you have not lived long enough, right? So the best thing to do is to say, okay, the storm may come, right? But I need to find resources. You're not going to go in the winter without coats. You're not going to go with your gloves without your gloves because you know you're going to get hurt. So I think we need to start thinking about mental health the same way. In the event that I lose my job, in the event that I lose a family members, how can I cope with these stressors, right? And mental health is not only when you are crazy, like what the clinicians are saying. It's how can I talk to a therapist to be able to navigate these difficult times, right? And so we need to be pragmatic as a community and find solutions for problems before they happen. Because what happens is when we're in the midst of a storm, we can't think, we cannot think, we cannot rationalize, right? And so before the storm happens, we need to start saying, okay, there's going to be storm. I don't know when, but it's coming. So let me make sure I have all of the skill set to be able to navigate the storm when it comes. And I think that's how we need to think about stigma because it's not helping us, it's actually killing us.
Thank you. And like I was saying at that time, it was also like now when you think you are normal, that's the best time to see a therapist, right? Let the therapist get to know you as your normal self so that the day something goes wrong, he knows how to bring you back to the person you used to be, right? If the only time you come to see a therapist is when you are at your worst, right? We might be addressing a symptom, but it might not get you to your optimal self, right? So when you think you're normal, that's the best time to get to know somebody that, in case of problem, they already know you and you can always count on them. You can call them, right? Or you can stop by and see them when there's problem. I also have said I don't know of any successful American that does not have a therapist. These people have figured this thing out that you know everybody has a burden that we carry around, right? Having a therapist is like a safe place where you can go and dump some of that burden on a professional. They teach you some other skills, right? We're just not treating depression and anxiety. We are also teaching people coping skills. We are teaching people strategies about dealing with stuff. We are prioritization theories. We got a lot of other resources that we can give people when they stop by just to check in. Like, okay, what's going on? Or if you're going through that, here's something that somebody else who was going through that same problem, here's what helped them, right? And it's just one tool you can put in your bag to carry around. This is not one of those things that like, well, okay, you got a headache and you pop a pill. It's a relationship that you build with somebody that becomes a resource for you in your time of need.
Somebody said a client came, as a matter of fact, a couple came to therapy and they seemed fine. like Dr. Pond said, and doing their DA and just the intake, trying to see where they are. They seem fine. So I asked, why are you here? and and the spouse, the husband said, we came to get the tools so that when problem happen, we got the tools to solve the problem. He said it's like a fire. I don't wait for fire to be in the house to go get fire extinguisher. I get a fire extinguisher, it's in the house. So when fire, I use the extinguisher to cut it off. So he said, we came to you, the professional, to give me the extinguisher. Let's sit down in the house. Because as long as we're together, we will have issues. So that's how we need to see therapy, and instead of stigmatizing it and all that. And then we're just faced with issues, Dr. Boyce put it right. Once I say just keep living. You keep living, you realize that life happens. Okay, you don't want it, but life happens to the best of persons. Life happens, and sometimes you will just need a space, a professional space. And in therapy, in counseling, we talk about this safe. We provide you this safe space. Unconditional positive God, empathetic listening. Just come and empty yourself, and then get some tools, get some techniques, pick up some skills that you can use to deal with the issues you're dealing with. It was interesting to know, Sis Evelyn, that now we have what is called even talk therapy. Talk therapy. People just want a space to talk, and all you do is just listen. And for 45 minutes or an hour, you just sit down and talk, because there's no space to talk without being judged or without being bothered. So they're looking for a space to talk. Anyway.
And Pastor, Pastor Taylor, you said that, and when I say it here, we laugh about it, but I always say that this platform is for you, right? It's for the community, it's for all of us. If you need to yell, and there's nowhere else you think is comfortable enough for you to yell, just call us. We'll make the platform available. You come and yell, whatever you need to do, but that's what it's for. And then the Bible said, because of lack of knowledge, my people perish. And it's good that we are creating the awareness and we are discussing this, because we are creating the awareness for you to know so you can seek help. Now, substance abuse or mental illness is like a drop in the bucket, right? Like somewhere is leaking and you put the bucket under there, it goes ta 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 ta. It's going gradually, but then when you look, the bucket will get full. So before you allow it to get full and you realize something is not right, it's good for you to seek the help. And so CGHERE is here to help and to create our awareness. And so if at all you need to talk more or you need to find out about this organization, what we are discussing, what we are talking about, you can call the number on the screen, 612-426-1353, and we will direct you to the right source. So it's 612. We also have links. We have youth that from 12 to 25 years old that we want to also register to create our awareness. We are looking for advocates. We are looking for coaches and what have you. Again, just call the number 612. Call me or call Jonetta. We will surely would direct you to the right people, to Emma, Pastor Taylor, Dr. Pan, Dr. Emma, or what have you. Call the number 612-426-1353. You don't have to go through this alone. We are here to work together to create this awareness, to grow together. So know that you don't have to sit down and say, where do I go or how do I get help and what have you. And this is why I love this platform, and I'm grateful to God for giving us this platform, because we can come and create the awareness with different topics which we don't get in our community like that, and we are able to discuss it. I want to clap here to give a clap A round of applause to the audience. They are doing great. Really, is they keep coming here, and I mean the question is just we may not be able to answer all of the questions because of time, but I really love the interaction. I love the questions, so keep it coming. Maybe we will go back and answer. So, Jonathan, we also have the link and all of that in the comment section. If you want to contact Dr. Emma or Dr. Khan or Pastor Taylor or even myself, you can do that. We have all the links, and we also have the number on here. Again, the number is 612-426-1353. I myself will be reaching out to some of you because there are a lot of youth in the community that I know that can take advantage of this opportunity. So we're going to be calling you, and please make yourself available. The next question, Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Sis, let's see.
Yeah.
So bless SC. She said, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for an important educative topic today. Your youth and children are being destroyed by drugs and their great future are stopped. Please, I'm asking if this topic can go on for 1 month because people need to know how dangerous and destructive these drugs are.
Oh wow. That's a request. And again, like I said, I'm available, but we would talk. I would talk to the team in the back and see whether they are available and left with their availability, and then we will continue that. But
I volunteered, Dr. Emma.
Hey,
I second the motion.
so what happened to you? Especially the doctor. Doctor gotta be available.
Oh, I am available.
The
he's
prescriber.
some emotion. So okay, so we will still go in the back. But thank you. The topic should continue for a month because this is important and is needed in our community. We will get back to you. We will take your concern and your question into consideration, and definitely we'll work on it. So I will call the team members, and they already said they are available. So thanks for that. Blessed.
So continue, or are we going with the next question?
Yeah, continue with the questions, please.
These are just comments that flowing through now.
Okay.
Sis Gama said, Dr. Amma, if a person has an underlying mental health problem and they start to use marijuana, it brings up the mental illness quicker than it should have. Like for example, maybe this person would have a mental breakdown in 5 years, but they if they start to use it, they get sick easily than they should have. So I guess when we were talking about the marijuana story, so she
Mhm.
weighed in her comments there. Any input? Any?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are people.
I like what she said, but when you talk about a mental breakdown in 5 years, it makes it sound like, you know, um, mental health is this disease or this thing that it happens. No, um, uh, mental health is just again emotional or psychological breakdowns that impairs one's functioning in a way. So anxiety doesn't have to come in 3 years or 5 years. Okay, you can be going through an underlying issue, and over a period that brings about anxiety or brings about depression because of something that's happened. And now all these diagnoses have a time period that they must have existed, and remain prevalent with you to be characterized, for that diagnosis. So it's not because, say, I was thrown out of my house today and I'm worried about that, then you say, I got depression. Okay? There are some, it's a 6 month, is a 1 year. There are certain signs and symptoms that must have existed for a certain number of a length of time to be that. But again, emotions are normal, to living, to being a human. We all have emotions. Is when those emotions are overstretched and start to impede our functioning, then we run into a mental health issue.
So I was just
Uh,
picking back on what
okay.
Pastor Tiller was saying. Mr. Tiller was saying, yes, we do agree that if someone has an underlying mental health condition, that substance use can exacerbate and make it worse. So I would just say, for example, if I was diagnosed by Dr. Kwan with depression, right? And then I start using alcohol, which is a depressant, right? It's gonna, because when I take alcohol, it gets in my brain, it messes with my neurotransmitters, it's more likely to pull me further down in my depressive state, right? So it has this compounding effect, right? It's gonna worsen my depression. And so yes, we do agree that if there's an underlying mental health condition and you're doing substance use, it could exacerbate and make it worse. And I will stop there and let the clinician speak. Dr.
So,
Khan, because I
so
think
it's just like you have soul. Listening to you is like you have a little soul or bum or what have you on your hand, right? And then instead of allowing it to heal, you keep picking it, picking it.
The questioner, the person who asked the question is right. There are certain mental health conditions that a person can be predisposed to, right? And let's say if you have parents or grandparents that have schizophrenia, you might have genetic markers that there might be possibility for you to also have it, right? Now, there are a lot of people who get their first break psychosis after taking some kind of psychoactive drug. So there are people out there, if you had like a genetic predisposition to certain conditions, doing any kind of drug can actually uh, become the trigger that starts you down that route. So in fact, I was talking to my own children the other time, and I said, I never tried weed. And they were like, what? I say because I've been taking care of mentally ill people since way back 30 years now, right? And I have seen those people that had a first break psychosis after trying weed the very first time, and they had that first break. So I've been scared myself, like, what if, right? I come from a country where I don't know my parents or my grandparents' medical records, right? I don't know my parents or grandparents' medical records. So what if I have a predisposition for that? And then I say, okay, let me do this thing recreationally, and it becomes the impetus for my first break. So just that thought alone kept me from even trying, right? So yes, these the marijuana, alcohol, or all these substances that are considered illicit, there's a reason they consider them that way, right? And some of them, the potential of harm is higher than whatever benefit you think you are getting from it. I know every time I hear people say, "Oh, I take it for sleep," but man, you can get something else that does not have that potential of causing a bigger problem for you that will still help you sleep fine, right? So yes, sometimes using an illicit substance can become a trigger that will start something bigger that was in you but very latent, and then you use a psychoactive drug, and boom, before you know it, you went down a route that maybe you never considered or you never thought could happen to you.
So since this is very interesting, since we have a request to continue this topic, we have not covered all of our questions. And nowadays we see that happening a lot because the comment section gets so much involved and they come up with a lot of questions and interaction and stuff like that. And so um, we will save the question for the next discussion um, because we are asked to continue this. And so Jonetta, I don't know, after reading, I don't know if it's a question. I think she just
It's
commenting.
just a comment that she made.
Yeah.
There's just now everything on there is just comments that they're making, their input as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
So again, if you're just joining us, look, this is amazing. Tonight is one of the nights that we
Okay,
have
that's a
had.
question here.
Is there a
Sorry.
question? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So sis Annie came and says, so how do we address these issues? We need to come out of the closet and speak on how to eliminate these things concerning drugs. Okay, so her first one started from here.
Well, I would suggest the first way we try to resolve this issue is trying to educate ourselves first, right? Let's try to know the issues. Try to know your own health history, the people you care about, their health histories, right? um, Educate yourself about these issues. And then we are here. We are resources that are available. There's so many resources now. In fact, almost every church now has a therapist in there, right? That can help educate people about mental illnesses and the resources that are available. And programs like this, we hope we can have more to continue the broad scale education of the community on what these issues are and what the resources are, the way to get people involved in it. One of the things is you yourself, check yourself out, right? It's easier if you went to see a therapist and then you came back and said, whoa, I saw a therapist and it was nothing like what I thought, right? And it was actually beneficial. When people hear you say that, then they themselves be like, huh? Okay, let me go try, right? So one way we can get rid of the stigma, like I said, we educate ourselves, but go check it out yourself, right? Go see a therapist and then see what we actually do. You might be surprised. And now you can come out, you tell your spouse or your friends or your children, hey, go see somebody, right? And then the more of us that get involved and get engaged, the more we get rid of the stigma in society.
Okay. So on that note, we will again sorry if we were not able to answer all of your questions because of time. We'll have to, every good thing and bad thing has an end. So we have to end here because you guys are requesting that we continue this. And again, we will talk about it in the back, and hopefully, the team will be ready to continue this for a month. So we will have to stop here tonight. I want to say thank you to all of you, especially the comment section, our listener. Thank you for your input. It was really awesome tonight. What a great show.
Very,
What
very.
a great awareness. What a great session. What a great discussion. I love to call it a discussion because we create awareness here and we talk about important topics that affect our community and our people. So I want to start with Emma, Dr. Emma, and I want each of you to give your parting statement.
So I will say that, we are in this predicament where because of our race, we are always going to have the shorter end of the stick, right? And it's important for us to be intentional about our health. whether it is mental health or substance use prevention, right? And it's really important that if we are to achieve optimal health and be in good health and prosper as God wants us to be, that we take ownership and find resources that we need. We can't be sitting and have people make decisions for us. We have to be intentional about our health and making sure we are finding resources, connecting with resources, connecting our members, our community members to resources to be able to change our health outcomes. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make decisions for yourself, someone would. And I think if you had the option to choose if you made a decision for yourself or you would give all of that power to someone else who doesn't know you, doesn't know your family histories, doesn't know where you come from, more than likely they will get it wrong, right? And so if we want to be able to improve our health outcomes, improve our communities, improve our families, we need to be participating in these programs. We need to be able to be intentional about finding resources, participating in workshops, taking knowledge that we earn, and being within our communities and talking about what we've learned and sharing with others so they too can be able to utilize that information. I would just tell you a quick story. I just came across a guy who recently got tested for HIV positive and really needed a therapist to talk to. And I said, I have a great resource, Dr. Kwan. He's like you, he's African born, and he has this stellar reputation and expertise, right? And so we all need to be intentional around looking out for each other and making sure that we are protecting our families, our communities. And so I would just want to say that we are here as resources. We have enormous capabilities, not because of education, but because we love what we do. We want to bring about change. We're also connected with people, whether it is people who can be able to support us through grant or people who have the expertise to be able to help communities. And I think what we hope is that we are impacting lives and helping people navigate these challenges so that we can really prevent those adverse outcomes, like jail, a kid going to jail for, something that could have been prevented, or someone dying prematurely because they didn't have the resources, or even if they did, because of stigma, they were afraid to use it, right? So we really want to be intentional about health, and I would just say that we're here as resources, and we hope that you would reach out to us, participate in the program, so we can all work together and build this strong communities where our kids can prosper.
Awesome. Dr. Kwan.
Oh, I would say thank you very much, Minister Mash, for this program. We will be excited to come back again, and if the opportunity exists, we will. Um, we are even available to groups. I say anytime you can get a group of 10, 15 people together someplace and they need to have an in person visit, I can find a spot to just come and continue the education in a more personable way. Um, the we are resources, right? We get our for me personally, I get my satisfaction from being able to help, right? People in the community. Now, if Dr. Boyce, I said earlier, I'm a very pragmatic person. Okay, so if you are out there and you have to drink something every night to sleep, which one is more? Which one do you think is a bigger problem? Imagine how much money you're spending every night just on alcohol just to sleep, right? What if you come to see one of us and we can give you something that also saves you money? You sleep better, but you're not spending all that money all the time. That money, marijuana is not free, it costs money, right? If you are actually using the marijuana to self medicate, what if you can see a professional that can give you something else that you can take, right? You're not jeopardizing your health, but you're also saving money, right? So I would say to my people out there that help is available, right? Help is available. Those of you that didn't want to see white people, now you got black people. Those of you that didn't want to see black Americans, now you got African people. I got providers in my clinic that are Kenyans and Cameroonians and Nigerians, right? So there's no excuse why people can't come now to talk to somebody, right? Even if you think you're normal, come get yourself checked out, right? We'll be out there in the community. Please check yourselves out, even if you think everything is normal with you, because we are all just one accident or one incident away from that breakdown that we're talking about. Some of my patients don't have any kind of illness. They were in a car accident, they hit their head, right? But since they already had a relationship, we can still see how we can work together to get them back to where I know, like their optimal self, right? So now is the time. Today is the day for you to make that move. Come check it out for yourself, and then you can help us spread the word in the community. We are available, and check says Evelyn out. She will give you contact numbers and how to get in contact with us, and we will be glad to help wherever, whenever we can.
Thank you, Dr. Palm. We go to Mr. Taylor.
So, since everything, I want to say thank you for having us here. I told you, you heard Dr. Boyce and Dr. Pan. You heard the closing. When I told you prophetically, I volunteered them. You did not believe it, but you heard the closing. It sounds like let's continue.
Yeah.
So, but again, thank you for this platform. I want to. They've said everything. I want to say thank you and their co-hosts for this platform. When bad news and healthy discussion fill our spaces, and our community, is it's a it's very refreshing to see that with intentionality somebody else is out here with positivity, education, and helping us in the right direction. I mean, we can do it right. We can do it right. This platform is not about who lost their husband, or who go to who house, and all that. It's about how we can improve ourselves and make better for ourselves and our community and make an impact. So I want to say thank you to you and your co-host for sacrificing your time. This is huge, the sacrifice of time and the platform you continue to provide. And to the listeners that avail themselves and follow the program, without you listeners, I'll say now, like I can say to church, nobody, nobody under compulsion. There's no gun to anybody's head to come to church, to be here. The fact that you willingly took yourself and brought yourself is took the time to listen is an honor, is appreciated. Thanks to the listener, thanks for your engagement, thanks for the question and the interaction. It is really, really an honor. Thank you so much. And again, I close. I volunteer these two,
Listen, I'm clapping for you. I have a gift for our constant listener, but these guys are amazing. So, Jonetta, what's your part?
Alrighty. I just want to say thank you all out there for tuning into the Evelyn Marsh Network. Again, please follow us, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We are all on there. Thank you guys for tuning in. It was an awesome show. You have these people in your corner. Let us utilize them. For me, I just learned something today. I didn't know my worriness was something. So I know I will be reaching out to somebody. So for those out there that are listening, that you have a child that is dealing with something, please feel free to contact one of these providers on here, or if you do not have access to them, you can contact myself or contact the number on the screen or contact Sister Mash. We will be able to get you their number so you can speak with someone. Because our children out there, if they are not getting the education from us, it have to start with us as parents. We have to be able to educate our children what is right, what is wrong, what is not okay. All of that we have to let them know before they slip into this slippery slope. So let us be our brother's keeper, our children's keeper as well. Don't ignore the signs and symptoms of what your child is dealing with. You have providers here. Contact them, try to get them into counseling, and try to educate them on the use of drug and alcohol abuse. You may say, "Oh, my child is too young for we the African people. We do not like to touch on these things, especially because we say, oh, our children will not do that." And before you know, peer pressure. People are starting to give this to them. Like I said, I went through the same thing in high school. I asked my friend for a headache medicine. My friend gave me your e-pills. I didn't know what it was. I took it. Different thing. But I'm not going to go into that. So let us learn to educate our children before they go down that slippery slope. But please, thank you again for tuning in to this platform. You can always catch us live on this platform, on YouTube, on TikTok, all the platforms, social media platform, at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again. Be blessed.
We are on here every Sunday. I want to say thank you to the panelists. Thank you to Dr. Imam, Dr. Ma, Pastor Titter. Thanks, Brother Mark, he's gone, and Brother
Robert.
Rap, he's also gone. But we want to extend our thanks and appreciation. Thanks for being on this platform. It was an awesome night, a great show. We hope to have you back. Again, God bless you. Like we say on the show, we love you and we love you by force. We are here to create awareness. Thanks for coming. God bless you and good night.